BBC Radio Norfolk, Stephen Bumfrey here. Now, my next guest is a musical superstar with a Tony to his name and a string of best-selling records. But tenor Alfie Boe wasn't born into fame and fortune. In fact, before he landed his first royal at D'Oyly Carte Opera Company, he was an apprentice mechanic in a factory. He was also one of 9 children, so I started off my interview with him by asking what it was like growing up in such a big family.
It was good. There was lots of people around, lots of noise, lots of music being played in the house all the time. Good parties. Yeah, it was good, man. Really nice.
Well, I often mention on air a friend of mine. She was from a large family, and you could go around their house, and you could stay a couple of days, and no one would actually notice.
No. I think they're still finding people in our house now who were there from the 60s, you know?
It sounds like it was more of a community centre. It sounds brilliant. So happy days for you growing up there?
Very happy days, yeah, very happy days. It was a good household. Great Christmases. My Christmases were very memorable. In particular, one year, my dad wanted everybody that was going to be there for Christmas dinner to be able to sit around the same table. But the house wasn't like a massive house. It was a council house, 3-bedroom council house. But downstairs it had a living room and a small dining room. So everybody could sit together. What my dad did was knock down the dividing wall.
Brilliant.
Put in this massive beam so the bedroom didn't fall into the living room, and then put the table through the archway, through the hole. Did
he actually mention this to the council, or did he just do it?
He just did it himself, and then he bricked it up after Christmas.
You're kidding me? So he really?
Yeah, seriously.
Is it like a real walk-through serving hatch?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, so it was good.
Although it was fun times, I mean, being 9 children in the family, I expect you'd have to watch every penny. What was it like?
Yeah, like anything really, you have to watch your pennies when you have a lot of kids to look after. But my dad worked so hard. My dad was a process worker at ICI, the chemical factory, and it wasn't the best of jobs, wasn't the healthiest of jobs, but he worked like a trooper to provide us with whatever we needed, with the food on the table and holidays and clothes and stuff. And I did get a few hand-me-down clothes, which was okay, but my sister's dresses, they were awful. They were like,
I was just going to say,
very embarrassing.
I did have an older sister, and I'll never ever fit in a size 14 ever again. It's just not going to happen.
I never want to see gingham again.
Did all your other brothers and sisters go into showbiz or work that involved people and audiences?
Well, the work that involved people they did, but not to the entertainment industry. I'm the only nutcase that's done that. But my brothers and sisters, they went on to work as policemen, firemen, nurses, working as a secretary. And my brother Michael, he is a interpreter, sign language interpreter in the UK. He's quite high in his profession. My brother John went to the Royal Air Force, and my brother Joseph became a fireman. They all went off to do jobs that dealt with people in a way.
It sounds like everything was represented in your family.
Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
If you ever had a fire, which we did occasionally in the kitchen, my brother would be there like a shot. It was brilliant. On-hand firemen in the house. It was brilliant. I used to start them just for the sake
just
of
to
it.
see. I haven't seen my brother for ages. I'll get a blaze going.
Yeah, exactly.
At the moment for you, do you remember the moment when you discovered classical music and that sound that would become your life?
Well, I remember the moment I discovered music in general. I mean, my childhood sort of. I was brought up listening to a lot of different styles of music. So now I don't call myself a classical singer, even though I trained classically. I don't call myself an opera singer, but because of my background, because of the way I grew up listening to country, to rock and roll, to blues, to jazz, to big band sounds, and lots of music from lots of different eras, and classical as well.
So when you saying that, it makes me feel as if that there might be some kind of, I don't know, snobbery or class system within the world of opera and classical music.
Well, there is to an extent, I suppose, but I'll tell you a story. I was stopping in a hotel recently, and there was a couple of people that sat in the bar, and they were really quite stressed and really quite upset. And they were sat next to me on the table, and I didn't really want to be that nosy, but I said, "Is everything okay?" He looked really upset, and he said, "Oh, well, we went to the ballet this evening at the Royal Opera House." And I said, "Yeah," and he said, "And we got thrown out."
Why?
And I said, "Why did you get thrown out?" And they said, "I made one comment on how pink the gentleman's tights were." And the lady next to her complained about it. So she called an usher over. The usher came over, asked them to get up and come out into the foyer, and said, "Now, children, you've been very naughty. You're going to have to leave," and sent them out.
No,
seriously. And I was thinking, man, that says it all. You know, I turned up at the Opera House the other day naked, and nobody said a thing. I just thought, I'm going to do it just for the sake of it.
You strike me as a man who might do. I'm not sure about going in naked, but you strike me as a man who might be somebody who would do the outrageous thing now and then, having come from like I said, a large family, being a performer. You've got to be by nature an extrovert. What's on your agenda of shockers?
Of shockers, oh my word! Well, when I worked at the Opera House, I used to go in, and part of the job was to watch the operas, and sometimes they would doing the Wagner's ring cycle, and some of those operas went on for 6, 7 hours, 5, 6, 7 hours, and I used to bring from home a pillow and a duvet, and I'd hide in a box and just put my head down for a few hours, lock the door so no one could come in, but the people up above could see me fast asleep in the box.
5 or 6 hours. I mean, my attention span is not terribly good. I'm thinking in terms of a trip to London and back to do Christmas shopping or decorating the spare bedroom in that sort of time space.
Try sitting in a theatre for that, man, listening to some lady screaming her head off. Another shocker is at the closing concert of the Royal Opera House, the gala performance, when they were closing it to refurbish. Do you remember when they were redecorating and ripping out the auditorium and stuff? I'd just got off a train from the north. I'd landed back in London, and I had my bag with me, my kit bag and stuff. And I went to watch this gala on the big screen in the piazza outside Royal Opera House. I said to my mate that I was with, I said, let's go and see if we can get backstage. Let's go and see if we can see some of the singers. And we'd been knocking back the wine quite heavily all afternoon. And, we were in a good, merry state. We were happy and content and stuff, but we ended up breaking in and getting into the backstage area.
You broke in?
Well, we sneaked past the security, and walked past all the TV cables, sneaked past all the security. I was going there for some singing lessons, so I knew my way around backstage. We ended up walking to the stage, dressed in jeans, pair of Converse, tatty shirt, my kit bag on my back, and I swear to you, this is no word of a lie, I ended up in the royal lineup on stage.
You are joking.
I swear, honestly.
No. That's it. It's that confidence, isn't it? You see, if you look like you know where you're going and what you're doing, people actually start asking you for advice. I can't quite match that, but I did once put on a high visibility jacket and start directing the traffic when it all jammed up near my home.
That's brilliant.
People look for guidance. With venues, I mean, we're talking about the Royal Opera House. What's the biggest or the smallest venue that you've performed in?
Well, the biggest audience I've performed for was probably the Queen's Jubilee at Buckingham Palace. That was incredible. The amount of people that were there, 250, 300,000 people.
Do you get scared? Do you get frightened?
I didn't have time to. I just sort of just get on with it and do it. Yeah. But it was a great show. I loved it. But I was nervous before I went on, obviously. But when you're up there doing the job and singing away and seeing the reaction from the crowd, it just spurs you on.
It was a marvellous moment, wasn't it? That entire year.
Yeah.
It was just feel-good factor from start to finish, as far as I'm concerned. And what a marvellous thing, Alfie, for you to have done.
Very honoured. Very
within
honoured
your career. And smallest venue? What about tiny, intimate places that you've been to?
Smallest venue.
Or have you walked into somewhere expecting it to be much bigger than it turned out to be?
Yeah. Well, I've played big venues with like 5 people in the audience.
How'd you get round that embarrassment factor then?
There was more people on stage than there were.
Mind you, that was like Earth, Wind and Fire. They're a big band, weren't they? The audience used to get stage fright.
You just, in a situation like that, you just have to get on with it and do it to the best of your ability. And those 5 people have paid to come and see you, so you know, you do just as good a job for them as you would for 5,000.
So you're on tour.
I will be, yeah. I start my tour's on sale, so it starts next year.
Because you're of that calibre now, do people actually get nervous? Do you notice them getting nervous when they actually meet you, when you go to various theatres and venues and you meet management and staff? Do they get a bit nervous when they meet you?
People bow down to me, you know, they back away, you know, bowing to me, things like that, and no, they don't.
They don't?
No, not one bit. No, I hope I hope really that I don't sort of instill that on people. I like to be seen as being the fella from Fleetwood in Lancashire. I don't really want to have any airs and graces. I'm respected, you know, and it's lovely to have that respect, and it's nice to be given the praise for what I do. But I am just a normal fella.
Did you ever imagine when you were that young boy sitting around the Christmas dinner table covered in brick dust? Did you ever imagine that you'd actually reach the level that you're at the moment?
I didn't really. I mean, I had a gut feeling that something was going to happen. I've always had that gut feeling that something was going to change for me in my life. I mean, even when I worked in the car factory, I felt that something was going to happen. I mean, you must have felt the same. You worked as a packer in a bakery, didn't you?
Oh, I was in a bakery. Yeah, how did you know that? And at Bird's Eye, I worked at Bird's Eye, packing back to Sprite Skin.
And you must have felt something was going to happen when you walked into the BBC.
I walked in because it was raining, and
asked for
All
Saints, wasn't it?
Yeah, All Saints Creed. That's right, and I asked for a look round and stayed for 8 years first time round. So that's how it happened for me. What's next on your agenda then, Alfie? Once you've done the tour,
I'm promoting this album like crazy. My new album, Trust. It's a great album. I mean, we had some fantastic musicians on this CD. I couldn't believe it. Musicians that I would have only dreamt of working with years ago. People like Lee Sklar from Toto, Fred Tackett from Little Feat, Booker T.
Oh,
Booker
really?
T. Jones plays Hammond organ on the whole album. A guy called Charlie McCoy was on harmonica, and he's a legend. He's played with Elvis, with Roy Orbison, everybody back in the 60s. And we even had the Motown man himself, Jack Ashford, on tambourine. And who did all the tambourine work on the Supremes.
Do you know, there's a man who would play the tambourine until he bled.
Exactly.
Yeah, he really
was awesome.
Yeah,
absolutely amazing fella.
Do you know what, Alfie? It's been an absolute delight speaking to you.
Nice
Thank
to
you
talk to you
so
too,
much for coming on to the programme. Good luck
Cheers,
with the tour and the album, and we'll speak again soon.
Nice one, man. Take it easy.
I love Alfie Boe. What a lovely man.
BBC